gaming has for years now had a serious issue of absolute woke clown syndrome. They have been around and trying to destroy us from within for quite a time now, but thankfully at this point, they are losing hard yet again. And most people now know what's happening, they know their playbook, and they're promptly, absolutely ignoring everything these stupid, uneducated activists are saying. And yes, I'm saying uneducated, even though they probably do have a university degree in African tribal dances for rain summoning. I'm sure you're gonna go far with that one, Penelope. I'm sure that's gonna get you a job and stuff. Definitely. And, well, considering this is not a joke, you understand why so many of them become activists. Because if they're not going to be activists, then how the hell are they going to get jobs? Because the world does not fit the magical criteria that was actually sold to them. Because they don't have enough, self-vision, self-cognizance, pattern recognition skills. In any case, we all know that it's hilarious. These people currently, at the best of times, are literally just straight up lying to our faces, and saying that the sky is purple red most of the time, and they just hope that someone's gonna be like, you know what, I'm blind, I choose to believe that. That's literally what they're banking on. They have no arguments, no logic, no ideas, no nothing. Just lies and slander. And people literally could not care less nowadays. It is what they have created, honestly.
Journo hacks who cover the video game industry are demanding that you pay attention to politics within this space. They are demanding that you stand up for your hobby, you try to force the fascists out of games, and that you make your voice be heard when really they just look
Unironically, this is actually happening. There are a couple of accounts on Twitter that are doing this, and it's hilarious because they get like 5k views, and then even the people amongst themselves that agree with each other or are supposed to agree with each other are like, no, this is actually wrong, blah blah blah. It's so unbelievably dumb.
pathetic. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, yes, a lot of video game discussions have been political over the past couple of years, but it's because activists like this have forced their way into this space. If they hadn't, years and years and years ago, we wouldn't be in this situation. People would be able to go.
We wouldn't be in this situation if people were like, hey, how about we gatekeep? How about we keep the people who hate us out of our hobbies? How about that? I mean, look at The Witcher. Dead. Look at Warhammer. The Emperor was always female, by the way, you chud. I mean, Star Wars. Name any single thing that these people have infiltrated because people were just not strict enough to push them out before they got in. All of these franchises have suffered massively. I mean, Star Wars is probably one of the easiest and best examples of this because it was a literal multi-billion-dollar industry. It was a whole industry at that point, you know? One of the strongest franchises in human history, easily top 3. Right there next to Pokemon and Harry Potter. It was Star Wars. Star Wars easily was the top 3. And then they hired Kathleen Kennedy, who managed to make that multi-billion-dollar brand, close to $1 trillion, honestly, and make it into something that is barely worth millions at this point. Man, at some point, someone for pocket change is going to buy the Star Wars brand because of all the damage, all the insane damage that has been done to it. You know what? Let's take this. I love their playbook, honestly. You know what? I love it. Let's take this successful thing that's dominantly a male thing, because women are just not fundamentally interested in stuff like this, and let's try to turn it in My Little Pony. No, wait, My Little Pony is exactly for middle-aged men. Let's try to turn it into GTA 5. That's for women. Okay? And they do that. And they take established brands with fans and then say, no, we need the female audience here, the modern audience.
To work, make games, regardless of what their political opinions are. People would buy them and everything would be amazing. But that isn't the case anymore because they constantly need their opinions heard. But now that it's not lunatic lefties controlling this industry, they are freaking out about it and they're saying, you need to be mad about Elon Musk, about the Saudis, about
Based.
Trump, about everything that is happening right now because they're losing their grip on this industry and they're mad about it. So The Guardian had written State of Play, who holds the power in the video games industry in 2025? Not you. That's for
The Guardian. Oh man, that is painful.
sure, and you can't deal with that. This year has brought us many brilliant video games, but as wealth continues to concentrate and games are used to exert economic and political influence, we need to keep an eye on the top players. And yes, culture does control the world. At least in my opinion, culture is an
True.
extremely important part of our life.
One of my favorite all-time things about this is the fact that these people thought that they're never gonna lose it. I very specifically remember seeing a clip of Destiny speak about this stuff. And this is not exactly a quote, but this is pretty much what he said. It's great. If the people on the right are mad about the left owning all facets of cultural influence, they should have just done a better part about it. And that's when someone calls him out and says, the left currently owns all of media, all of the cultural institutions and things like that. And he's like, well, tough. This is not a problem. The other side should have tried harder. And now that they're losing, suddenly we need fairness and shit. It is the funniest thing ever. It is beautiful levels of karma.
Lives. And I don't think that video games should be political, but you guys are the ones who made it political in the first place. You guys are the ones who use
I think video games should be political. I think they should have a decent amount of political stuff in there, but done in a reasonable way. Not the brain damage way that currently we have things like, oh, this side is clearly bad, this side is clearly good. Why is that side bad? No reason. Why is that side good? No reason. It's just the way things are. Political contexts exist in literally every single best game that there is. Political undertones exist in all of them. Name one single game that you love. The story probably has some political analogies in it. But it's not done in a forceful way that says, oh, you must support this and hate the other thing for no reason. They actually, like, some of the best stories are, obviously black and white, where the good, you can't tell who the good guys are because the situation is bad and everyone has decent argument.
used it as a tool to try to push propaganda. If you hadn't done that in Gamergate 1, and really before Gamergate 1, activists were trying it, we wouldn't be in this space. So it says, I love playing video games. Oh, yeah, sure you do. But what interests me most as a journalist
Yeah, yeah, I should definitely.
are the ways in which video games intersect with real life. One of the joys of spending 20 years on this beat has been meeting hundreds of people whose lives have been meaningfully enhanced by games, and as their cultural influence has grown, these stories have become more and more plentiful. There's another side to this, however. A couple of decades ago, video games were mostly either ignored or vilified by governments and mainstream culture, leading to an underdog mentality that has persisted even as games have become a nearly $200 billion industry. As their popularity has grown, so have their political and cultural relevance, and the ways in which games intersect with real life are now colored by the economic and political realities of our times. Now, they do start off with talking about blockbusters and how there are games like Silksong and Expedition 33 that had very small budgets but made back larger profits. They talk about the Nintendo Switch too, but then they get into AI, they get into
Ah,
unions, and
yes.
really, you can tell if you scroll down what this is all about, and it is Trump and the administration.
Always has been, buddy.
And also people like Elon Musk. And you just can see how upset they really are.
Wait, small question. Do you even know why they're currently upset about Elon Musk any longer? I mean, has he done something recently? Am I just unaware? I mean, he was in Trump's cabin, true, for a while, but then he like, why are they currently so upset about him? I don't understand. Like, what he has done nothing. They're just kind of upset on principle. It feels like at this point.
Over the fact that lefties do not have a lot of control in this industry anymore. And it's so funny to me that they go and they talk about the gaming industry and the history, but of course, they're not going to bring up things that liberals have done over the years that would have severely damaged this industry, like the Family Entertainment Protection Act. I know it's been a long time since we've talked about this, but it is extremely important when you're talking about politics in the video game space. It was a failed bill introduced by Hillary Clinton, co sponsored by Joe Lieberman, Tim Johnson, and Evan Baugh. It was a bill that called for a federal mandate enforcement of the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, or ESRB, rating system for video games in order to protect children from inappropriate content. It would have imposed fines of $1,000 or 100 hours of community service for a first-time offense of selling a mature or adult-only rated video game to a minor, or $5,000 or 500 hours for each subsequent offense. There have been several failed bills like this over the years, but they're all from liberals. Do they ever talk about this and how really
No, of course not. I mean, suppression of freedoms is like kind of their bread and butter because that's all evil.
the political grab at video games has been, yes, going back and forth for decades, but there are way more liberals that have tried to enact change in this space than conservatives. Sure, the ESRB did primarily start with a lot of conservatives because there was satanic panic, and then it led into, oh, well, games with gory content and really violent content could lead to video games causing violence in the real world with titles like Night Trap and Mortal Kombat, but they never mention people like Hillary Clinton trying to enact change. Why? Because it doesn't fit their narrative. Video games have always been a hot topic with politicians. There have always been a lot of them who have tried to, yeah, I mean, control.
Yeah, the moment a politician feels that they can blame something for some kind of bad thing that's currently trending, they will. Okay. So if at any point a video game gets blamed for something bad, you know that this stuff is gonna be right back.
The space, because if you control culture, you control the world. But while the lunatic lefties did grasp onto this industry, they are now losing their grasp on it. You can tell really easily that the reason why they wanted to write this article was because of the ICE memes and also Elon Musk. They say what we see here is money and power concentrating in the video game world in the same way as in the wider world. And games have immense power to influence people's thoughts and attitudes. Yeah, that's why you cultural Marxists have tried to weasel your way into.
This is actually not even true. If anything, well, the situation that happened with woke games kind of proves that games have absolutely no influence on the real world. Because think about it. How many woke disasters were made, and all of them flopped? Like, if this was true, if video games actually had that sort of impact, that sort of magical strength where they just take control of something, then we would still be in it because there would be no way out. But for some reason, like, the majority of people hated it, didn't support it, and all of those things flopped. There are so many woke studios that got, shafted, destroyed, obliterated. There are so many woke titles that literally completely self-imploded on day one. I mean, That was the golden age, literally like 2 months ago, about the, before the launch of Borderlands 4, but we had just Vogue disaster after Vogue disaster coming out, and some of those games literally died in 5 hours. I think Avowed died in a week. There was like a whole list of 5 games that I covered every week, a new one that, and all of them started dying faster. First, I think the first big one was Dragon Age Railguard that came out, and then it died in like 2 weeks or something. Then there was Avowed. There were so many of them, and at one point they were literally okay. From Dragon Age Railguard, where the game dies in less than a month, now we're at the point where your average Vogue Slop game dies in less than a day. There was one game that literally had a 90% player drop in its first 4 hours. Wow, you cannot make that stuff up. It was insane.
This industry, and at every single turn you have failed to actually push propaganda in a successful way that people are not calling out. And games have immense power to influence people's thoughts and attitudes. The most powerful people in the world have started to realize this. Even Elon Musk sees the value of appropriating game credibility. He was discovered to be a fake gamer in January after boasting about his PoE 2 character online. Why
that Elon Musk stuff about PoE was hilarious, how he actually tried he did the gameplay, and by the way, even later it was proven that he actually did fake gameplay and bought items in Diablo 4, which is hilarious. Insane stuff. That was so funny. And Elon Musk tried to pretend, oh no, I actually did this. And when no one believed him, he was like, it still counts as my achievement because I hired the person to play my account. And the sad part was GGG did not ban him. He literally admitted to real life trading and account sharing. No, what's it called? I don't remember if it's called account sharing. But he broke the rules. He should have gotten 100% banned. He didn't. But it was funny.
Would the Trump admin be tweeting AI-generated images of the president as Halo's Master Chief, or using Pokemon and Halo memes to recruit for ICE? Why else would right-wing agitators continue to feed culture war spats over a black samurai in Assassin's Creed or a non-binary actor in a...
Because all of this ruins our experience, because all of this is counterproductive, because no one wants this, because all of this is fake, because all of them are calling you a bad person if you dislike it, if you speak out against it, because all of this degrades the Japanese culture, all of this damages the video game industry, all of this has absolutely no place to begin with in any of these conversations. This is not a game, this is meant to be political pandering and signaling. And I could go on. There are so many reasons why people should dislike these things, why these things are bad. Never back down, okay? When these people tell you something, they're typically trying to shame you into believing they're slop. Because there's no other way that they can do these things. They will never win just out there in the open. They need to hide around the corners and shame you into believing that you're somehow a bad person and wrong. You're not.
PlayStation game. Now, I say this all the time. I am a libertarian, but I definitely do lean more right wing, obviously. I could not side with these people in this article at all whatsoever because they sound insane. Why is it that quote unquote left wing agitators end up creating entire companies like Sweet Baby Inc. to try and push propaganda? Why is it that quote unquote left wing agitators weasel their way in and then they demand that companies make change and threaten them and try to blackmail them if they do not alter their games in a way that is deemed more inclusive? Yeah, two can play that game and you are going to lose every single time. Just because we talk about what is happening in this industry does not mean we are agitators at all whatsoever. And yes,
I don't even care what they call me. Call me an agitator, sure, whatever.
I do think that putting Yasuke in Assassin's Creed was a pretty big situation, and it was much larger than him just being a black guy. You are trying.
You know what? That's also fair enough, good enough, okay? If you want to say just because he was black, fine. That's fine. Let's say it's supposed to be ancient Japan. That's fine. That's a fine argument, okay? It can be as little as that. No one cares.
To
You have the right for that.
this argument down because you want a normie to click on this article and not rip it apart. But of course, I exist. And they say a non binary actor in a PlayStation game. You mean a person like Erika Ishii, who was self proclaimed Antifa? That's a little bit more than them just being a non binary actor, that's for sure. They also
Hey, I'm non-binary also. You know, I don't buy their slop.
talk about how they don't pretend to be neutral on any of these things. Oh, yeah, we can tell, buddy. Earlier this year, after I wrote about the Saudi acquisition of EA, I got an email from a reader asking if some of this stuff is more editorial opinion rather than fact and news. The answer to that is it's both. I will never report on anything here that isn't true, but I also won't shy away from delivering my informed opinion on the things that are in the gaming world.
Whoa, you see, I love it. This is why they're never gonna win. I love this so much. They cannot help to just promote themselves as the knowers of truth, the knowers of virtue, the chosen ones in every situation possible. They cannot help, okay? You're always the stupid, uneducated one, and they are always the ones who know how things really are. This is why they will never win. Because the average person is 100% not even close to being dumb enough to fall for this. The average person is seeing that and they're like, oh wow, this person is insane. Yep, better stick to the other side of what he's saying is bad.
But you are completely uninformed. Unsurprisingly for a Guardian journalist, my values are inclusive, left leaning, and somewhat skeptical of corporate power. And of course, that informs what I write in Pushing Buttons. I think that those values are vital context in these times.
Somewhat skeptical of corporate power. It's actually insane how you know, life used to be different. Democrats were, known as the tree-hugging hippies that were against big companies and what now. And now they're literally the biggest bootlickers of any big company out there. The moment someone says something negative about any big company, you know there's a bunch of leftists being like, leave my billion-dollar company alone. It's insane.
Of course, you're saying your values are vital because if somebody doesn't respect your values, you don't have a job anymore. It is insane that they constantly will sit here and write articles like this while not giving the whole context, while not painting the whole picture, because they hope people are stupid enough to click on this article, believe the lies that they are spouting, and not ask questions. But gamers are sick and tired of activists like you pushing your way into this video game industry. And I say this all the time. If tomorrow video games were suddenly all 10 out of 10s and people like this were not pushing, bullshit in this space, I would be more than happy to just play video games and rate them and review them and talk about them. And
Makes sense. Makes sense. Anyway, that was very dark 10 out of 10. Bye.